You probably need to ask them specifics.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. What about Alex? Is there any update on him?
He's doing well. Starting to move around. His foot's out of a boot, and so he's been shooting a little bit, starting to move a little bit. So I think he's on schedule to be sometime late December, early January, as a return right now.
I know you love the 3-point shot. Right now, as a team, you're shooting 35.7%. Where do you want that figure to be?
I'm not so concerned about. I don't really look at percentage as much as what kind of threes we get. How we're shooting them. That kind of who's shooting them. That kind of thing. And right now, we're not shooting as high as I'd like to shoot it. I do like the ones in the last 3 games. How we're getting them and the shots we're getting have been good. So I like the inside out that's happening now. So there's a lot of positives the last 3 games that's happened. At least in my thinking, the last 3 games, what we've done offensively, it's been a positive.
Seems like Chris Smith's really improved his shot from long range shooting 39.
Yeah, he's been doing a great job. Chris is obviously shooting the ball well, but I like what he's doing. Defensively, he's rebounding the basketball. He's defending well at 6'9". He's very versatile. I think more assists than turnovers. If you look at, last year, I think he's almost doubled his 3-point makes already. His shooting percentage is up. His free throws, he's getting to the line more. His board plays up. His assists are up. Turnovers are down. He's just off to, through 8 games, he's off to a really good start.
What about Chris Wilkes from 3? I know you said you don't hone in on the percentages, but 31% for him. Who's your leader?
Yeah, we obviously want him to be, higher, and he's better than 31%, just like Prince is better than 47% foul shooter. They're both better than that, and I think as the season progresses, that'll take care of itself. I think early on, Chris was taking some tough shots. I think the last 3 games he's gotten back to taking the really good high percentage 3-point shot for him, and he's had a good mixture of what he's done inside the 3-point line, and I think that'll help him moving forward. I thought he took some tough ones early in the season, and he hadn't been doing that.
Jalen leads the Pac-12 in assists. I know you've been happy with his last 3 games. Does he need more help behind him, though? I think you don't have anybody else averaging more than 2 assists per game.
Well, he's playing a lot of minutes at point.
Right.
He's our point guard. Where last year it was shared a little bit, and David plays a little bit back there. But we try to get David off the ball as much as possible because David can really shoot the basketball. But David's doing a great job. He's not turning the ball over. For a freshman, he's got per minute per turnover has been outstanding. So we want our assists to be up. Our assists aren't. We'd like to be 16, 17 plus. That's what we've averaged over 5 years, and we're not to that point yet. But with what Jalen's doing, his last 3 games have been outstanding. So we hope that that just continues.
I mean, maybe not hit the backup point guard, but the rest of the team overall.
Like I said, but assist has to do with made field goals,
Right.
and we haven't shot the ball at the level that we normally shoot the basketball. With that saying, our offensive efficiency is over 110. A lot of things that are going well offensively. We're not shooting the free throw very well. So those things in a very short package of just 8 games, it's not really a concern yet because I think prior coming out of Vegas, we wanted to share the ball more. That's what we're doing, and that's the positive. So as long as we're getting good shots, if we miss those shots, we live with those. But I thought in Vegas we took bad shots, and 2 physical teams really hurried us up and made us take bad shots, and that's a credit to them. But those were lessons that we learned coming out of there, and I think that the guys have done a really good job in the last 3 games of getting high percentage shots.
Talking about Jalen, obviously last year he was more off ball. This year he's more on ball.
Well, he was on ball too. It was just we had a 1st-round pick in Aaron Holiday, so Aaron was the leader. Aaron was the primary ball handler and the primary guy that was running the point for us last year. Where now it's Jalen, and I think Jalen has had a really good start to his sophomore year to where now it's his team to run. And that's what he's going to be measured on now and evaluated as the season goes along, is how he runs a team. And I think it's really advanced here in the last 2 weeks from his standpoint of just understanding. It's not so much pass first as it is make the right play. And I think Jay's just really making a lot of really good plays. You average 10 assists over 3 games, you're doing a lot of good things. But he's also, I think he's taking better shots. He's getting to the basket. He's playing downhill more. He's getting to the free throw line more. And the thing we've really wanted to see him do is grow defensively. So I think through 8 games, he's been doing those things, and it's been a really good start for him.
Have you shown him any film of maybe, say, Aaron, who also sort of moved from off-ball to on-ball,
We've showed him a lot of tape of him, of NBA guys, of Aaron. There's probably not anybody currently in our program that's been shown more film to than Jalen has. So he's seen a lot of tape of a variety of different players.
Steve, what prompted you to get Notre Dame back on the schedule?
Well, one, Coach Bray and I got a lot of respect for Coach. I think Mike does a tremendous job, and just the history more than anything else. And he's got a modern day product, so maybe that helped us get them over the hump of getting us on the schedule. But it's something that it's one of those home and homes. Being out west, when you look at home and homes, there's not a lot that intrigue me. We've done the Gonzaga home and home, which I really like, and that could be something potentially we get back into. But these home and homes that are a long way away, that becomes problematic, I think, for us with travel and losing 3 hours, and so it's got to be the right home and home when we get out of the West. And Notre Dame it makes so much sense. It's it's a great school. There's a lot of tradition, a lot of rich history between Notre Dame and UCLA, and being in a conference like the ACC, it's all that's just going to help you down the road. So it's they play, they're a motion team, we're a motion team, predominantly man-to-man defense like we are. So it's a lot of similarities to when we pair up against them. We'll get a good litmus test of where we are.
When you were growing up in Indiana, did that rivalry mean much or have much impact on you?
The UCLA one?
UCLA Notre Dame.
Yeah, obviously I knew about it and I followed it. Probably not as much as the Indiana Notre Dame rivalry had, because I was a part of that. And when I was at Indiana, we played them every year. So, guys like Scotty Hicks and Barlow and David Rivers, and these were guys I grew up playing against. So the Notre Dame and Digger was there. So that Notre Dame rivalry with Indiana was a big one, because we were either playing them at home or on the road every year. So, but obviously followed that. When you look at ending a streak and then a week later, avenging that, it's you pay attention to that and you see that. It's just I was probably more in tune to what once I got to Indiana about that rivalry.
Go ahead.
Just the guys today, kids today, do they have a sense of the tradition, the history, what these games meant back in the day, or do they look at it as, hey, this is the next opponent we got to beat? Well,
I want them concentrating on the next opponent. So I hope it's about the next opponent, because I could waste my time for a week telling them something that happened before they were even born, of getting their attention and listening. What I need them to do is, this is how good Notre Dame is offensively, this is how good they are defensively, so focus on those things, listen to what we're saying there. So, different players are probably different of how they dive into history and what takes place 30, 40 years ago. I was one of those guys that I paid attention to all that stuff. I was a basketball just traditionalist of loving all that stuff. But I also know times have changed now. So if it doesn't show up on a video game, then they may struggle knowing the history of those things. But it's probably determined on what player you talk to. And players today move around so much more. When I played, I didn't have AAU basketball, so it was all just your state and just your area. You pretty much went to camps in your area. So now kids are global. They're playing overseas in summers. They're part of so much travel now and exposed to so much that they're really about now, more so than like when I grew up. I'd have guys from Notre Dame or guys from Indiana or guys from Purdue speaking at clinics that I got a chance to follow then when they went off and played, or a Larry Bird that was at an Indiana State. So you'd hear these guys in a clinic and you followed them. That doesn't really happen to these guys now as they grow up.
How happy have you been with the defensive improvements? Some of the numbers are pretty good.
It's going really well. We're seeing some growth. I thought, again, coming out of Vegas, we learned a lot. 2 veteran teams that were physical and very good offensively, very efficiently, gave us some ideas of where we're lacking, and we've drilled that hard over the last 10 days, and But this has been a group that they pay attention. They're starting to listen better. I think they've heard us all along, but now after the Vegas thing, the listening has kicked in, and I think that's been a valuable lesson for them. But I like how they're paying attention to the details, and we got a long way to go, but we're seeing some growth in a lot of areas, which is good. 8 games in, you want to see growth, and I think defensively we're seeing that.
What areas are you seeing the growth?
How we contest shots, how we're talking, what we're doing in the paint, not just relying on Moses, but how we're protecting the red zone, what we call the red zone. Our transition defense has been much, much better since getting back. And this is going to be the next big test because Hawaii and LMU weren't quite the offensive transition teams that Notre Dame is. And so this will be a really good test for our defense because Notre Dame does a very good job with full court motion and testing you both off the drive, both with screening, with cutting, with spacing. They're very good with that. So we'll get a whole nother test here. And I think that's what we're most excited about with this matchup is, okay, we had Vegas, we got smacked, we came back, we've had 2 really good games. Now here comes that next big opponent being an ACC team. How are we now versus what we were in Vegas?